Hey, welcome! So today we are getting right under the skin of a super familiar and, let's be honest, kind of weird human reaction. Goosebumps. You know, that sudden involuntary shiver that just seems to pop up out of nowhere.
I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? The hairs on your arms suddenly stand up, your skin gets all prickly. It happens when you're cold, for sure, but it also happens when you're scared, or even when you're just really deeply moved. So what on earth is actually going on there? Well, believe it or not, that instant shiver isn't just some random fluke. It's a very specific biological event. And yep, it's got a fancy scientific name. It's called piloerection, and the key word here is involuntary. You can't start it, you can't stop it. It's a physical reflex that's wired deep, deep into our biology. But how does it even work? Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of this, because the whole process is tied to one of our most basic, most ancient survival instincts. So anytime your brain senses a potential threat, and that could be anything from a blast of freezing air to a jump scare in a horror movie, it flips the switch on this automatic fight or flight system. And that in turn sets off a very specific and very fast chain reaction. And what's really incredible is just how fast this all happens. So first, you have the trigger. Your brain immediately, and I mean immediately, signals for a rush of adrenaline. This hormone makes these tiny little muscles at the base of every single hair follicle, they're called erector pili, contract. And when those little muscles clench up, boom, your hair stands straight on end. It's an ancient, absolutely lightning-fast defense mechanism. All right, so now we know how it happens, but that just brings up the next big question: why? And to answer that, we've got to take a trip way, way back into our evolutionary past. Because let's face it, for us relatively hairless humans, making our fine little body hairs stand up doesn't really seem to do much of anything, does it? It doesn't make us any warmer. It definitely doesn't make us look scarier. So why do we still have this reflex at all? And this is where it all starts to make sense. See, for our much, much furrier ancestors, piloerection had two critical survival functions. First, by puffing up all their fur, it made them look bigger, more intimidating to a predator. Just think of a scared cat with its back arched. And second, all those raised hairs trapped a layer of air right next to the skin, which created this awesome little insulating barrier to keep them warm. But for us, well, ever since we invented clothes, we haven't really needed it for warmth. And without a thick coat of fur, it's not doing a whole lot to intimidate anyone. So for modern humans, goosebumps are basically an evolutionary leftover, a biological echo from a time when we actually needed it. But hold on, the story does not end there. Because this is where things get really, really cool. That old, ancient survival hardware, it seems to have been hijacked or sort of rewired by our much more complex, modern, emotional brains. I mean, just think about it. We don't just get goosebumps when we're scared or cold. We get them from a beautiful piece of music, a moment of pure joy, a really powerful memory, or when we see a stunning work of art. All of these intense, powerful feelings are tapping into that exact same ancient fight-or-flight pathway. In fact, some fascinating research from neuroscientist Jock Panksepp found something totally surprising. It turns out that sad, melancholy music is often an even more powerful trigger for goosebumps than happy, upbeat music. How weird is that? Well, the going theory is that our brain hears those melancholy tones in a sad song and interprets them as a kind of ancient distress call. It's like it's tapping into this primal emotional circuit that's associated with being separated from your social group. You know, like being lost from the tribe, which for our ancestors would have been a genuine life or death situation. So this perceived distress signal immediately lights up the amygdala. That's the part of our brain that's basically the command center for fear and other really strong emotions. The amygdala sounds the alarm, and bam, it triggers that same old fight or flight response. But here's the crucial twist. Your conscious brain, your modern brain, kicks in and quickly sizes up the situation. It looks around and realizes, hey, wait a minute, I'm perfectly safe. I'm just listening to a song. There's no predator, there's no real threat. And this is the magic moment. As soon as your brain registers that there's no actual danger, that initial fear signal gets completely reinterpreted. The alarm gets switched off, and the whole experience flips from potential fear into a feeling of relief and positive emotional pleasure. That's the shiver of goosebumps you feel. And there's one last little layer to this whole thing. Studies have actually found that dopamine, the brain's feel good reward chemical, it actually peaks just before the emotional climax of a song. So we're anticipating this emotional release, which makes the whole experience and those goosebumps feel even more rewarding. So when you put it all together, goosebumps are this incredible bridge. They literally connect our most primal, ancient survival hardware with our most sophisticated and modern emotional lives, like our ability to appreciate art and music.
It really makes you wonder, right, if our deep evolutionary past is shaping something as abstract as how we feel when we listen to a song. What other ancient echoes are we all carrying around without even realizing it? So, next time a song gives you chills, you'll know exactly what's going on. It's just your inner caveman giving it a standing ovation. Thanks for tuning in.